Many of our customers would like to know more about the people on their coins, so we hope that this series of short presentations will help.
This is the story of Hadrian, the second of the adoptive emperors, whose reign ushered in the famous Pax Romana. Hadrian was born in Spain into an Italian family, though he later claimed to have been born in Rome. His parents died when he was only 10 years old, and he was brought up in southern Spain in the household of his second cousin, the future Emperor Trajan.
Back in Rome as a young man, he was given the standard education of an upper-class Roman. The young Hadrian became a fervent admirer of all aspects of Greek civilization as expressed in its literature. As a result, his fellow students called him Greekling. It is this love of Greece that probably inspired him to grow a beard.
He followed his guardian into a military career, and as commander of the First Legion he served under Trajan in Germany. Hadrian was probably the messenger that told Trajan that the Emperor Nerva had made Trajan his heir.
2 years after Trajan became emperor, Hadrian married Trajan's niece Sabina, 10 years his junior, another orphan who had grown up in Trajan's household.
As a legionary commander, Hadrian fought in Trajan's Dacian wars and accompanied him on his eastern campaigns, eventually being made governor of the province of Syria.
When Trajan fell ill on his journey back to Rome, he accepted his wife Platina's advice, and just before he died, formally adopted Hadrian as his son and heir.
Hadrian succeeded Trajan peacefully in 117 AD, with the backing of the Senate in Rome and the army in Syria. However, within a few months, 4 potential rivals, all former senators or provincial governors, were murdered or executed, possibly with Hadrian's connivance. This act made him many enemies in the Senate.
As Trajan had done, Hadrian used Trajan's name as well as his own to stress continuity and legitimacy on his early coinage. Indeed, on his earliest coins he added some of Trajan's titles as well, as the example here shows.
Early in his reign, seeking popular support, he cancelled all debts owed in taxation from the previous reign, totalling 9 million sestertii. This sestertius reminded all of his generosity. It shows the public executioner setting fire to a pile of IOUs in Trajan's Forum.
In other reforms, he also humanised slavery, simplified the legal system, and forbade torture.
As he grew more confident, Hadrian dropped the reference to Trajan on his coins, and from 120 AD onwards, most of his coins had the simple legend, Hadrianus Augustus.
Hadrian remained in the eastern provinces until he had sorted out the problems there. These included suppressing the Jewish revolt and abandoning the recent conquests of Trajan in that region, conquests which were proving difficult to hold on to. He decided that the policy of continuous expansion should end and that firm boundaries should be fixed.
Before he became emperor, Hadrian had travelled widely as a legionary commander. As emperor he continued to travel, spending over half his reign touring his empire. He rode bareheaded in all weathers, much to the annoyance of the accompanying generals, who had to follow suit. He was also accompanied on all his travels by his wife Sabina, and by a great retinue of architects, surveyors and builders.
In order to secure his frontiers before returning to the east, Hadrian first travelled round the northern parts of his empire, defining frontiers either by natural or man-made barriers, like the limes in parts of Germany. He also saw to the welfare and training of the armies who were expected to guard them.
In AD 122, Hadrian arrived in Britain, bringing with him a new governor, who was given the task of supervising the building of the great monumental wall that Hadrian had decided would form the northwest frontier of his empire.
His next grand tour took him back to the east, where he spent his time, and much of his money, improving towns by monumental building projects, including libraries, theatres and public baths. In his tours he visited many provinces, including Greece, Judea and Egypt. In Egypt he was so devastated by the death of his young favourite Antinous that he founded a town in his memory.
Following his travels, Hadrian built himself a magnificent private palace at Tivoli, about 20 miles outside Rome. With his interest in architecture, he built different parts of the palace to reflect the different architectural styles of the provinces he visited.
As he did not like the emperor's palace in Rome, he moved all the machinery of government to this new palace and governed the empire from there for the last years of his reign.
In central Rome, Hadrian rebuilt the Pantheon, that's the temple to all the gods, which had been destroyed by fire in about 80 AD. Each of the front columns is a single piece of marble, selected during.
When they arrived, the columns were several feet short, and the pediment of his temple had to be lowered to make them fit. This alteration is visible in the right-hand photo. Nevertheless, this was a magnificent structure, and the domed roof remains the largest dome of non-reinforced concrete in the world.
Hadrian also rebuilt much of Ostia, Rome's port at the mouth of the river Tiber. His public buildings there include a magnificent temple dominating both the forum and the town, and also a splendid public baths complex dedicated.
In preparation for his own death, Hadrian built a mausoleum, deliberately designed to be a little larger than that of Augustus, just across the river Tiber from central Rome. He also built a new bridge, so that those crossing it would have his mausoleum in the centre of their view. The mausoleum remains, but in a much altered state, as it was converted to a fortress in the Middle Ages. Although he remained married to Sabina, they had no children. His detractors say that Sabina refused to bear him children in case they turned out to be monsters.
Hadrian first adopted Aelius as his heir and promoted him to be Caesar or deputy emperor. But Aelius died before Hadrian, so new choices had to be made. Hadrian then chose to adopt two children, the future emperors Marcus Aurelius, then aged 15, and Lucius Verus, aged 7, who was the son of his original heir. As these were too young to rule, he also adopted the elderly Antoninus Pius, with instructions to prepare.
Hadrian died a recluse at his palace at Tivoli after a long illness. During these months, Antoninus Pius ruled effectively in his place and succeeded him peacefully when he died, remaining true to his promise to prepare Marcus Aurelius and Lucius Verus as his eventual successors. You've now got to the end of this short presentation. If you want to download and save a higher quality version, please follow the link on the screen. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you again.